Ken, as we've been talking about L-carnitine, we've talked about some of the various forms of carnitine that there are that your company produces. One of those interesting combinations that your company manufactures is L-carnitine fumarate, which is a combination, actually a molecule that you create that combines L-carnitine and fumaric acid. Can we talk about that one a little bit?
Sure. Well, you know, the principle here is to, as I alluded to before, is to come up with forms of carnitine that not only are absorbed readily into the metabolic cycle, but products that will make good solid dosage forms that'll hold up on mom and pop shelf, so that they don't have to worry about the product becoming aged or crumbling or anything like that. And so, in trying to meet these criteria, we came up with various combinations of carnitine and stabilized them by adding particular types of acids to them, food-grade acids, that would help them last longer. And when we stumbled across L-carnitine fumarate about 15 years ago, and it turned out that what we were seeing in the clinical lab is that the bioavailability of carnitine was somewhat higher after 6 or 8 hours of ingestion. And so looking at it more closely, we realized that carnitine fumarate, L-carnitine fumarate as we call it, actually uses fumaric acid in it that is part of the energy cycle, the natural metabolic energy cycle called the Krebs cycle. That fumarate is an important part of the regeneration of ATP, or adenine triphosphate, pure energy. And so that's that lightning bolt that powers the cell to move the mountain, so to speak. And that by having that fumarate in there, it actually gave a boost, kind of like a turbocharger to the carnitine itself. So it's been a very, it's a patented product that we've had for a number of years, and we've gone on to refine it so that it's able to hold up very well in a capsule or a tablet and highly bioavailable, and it's one of our mainstay products.
Well, as you say that this helps in the Krebs cycle and the production of ATP, as you say, the lightning bolt that powers the body, particularly certain muscles such as the heart, I would imagine, can benefit particularly from this form.
That's a good point, Tom. It's important to get the concept down of what actually happens with carnitine. Essentially, if you think in terms of the cell as being its own little house, so to speak, and that the mitochondria, which is kind of like the furnace or the oven, that nutrients come into that house and they're cooked. So think in terms of some mom and pop coming home from the supermarket with a bag of groceries and they put a pizza in the oven. And so essentially this is what happens in the cell. Nutrients come into the cell and that they're put into the oven, which is the mitochondria. The mitochondria helps to create energy, in so many words, that will fuel the cell. The cell is part of the organ. The organ is part of the organism. And so essentially, by optimizing the way you burn your nutrients or how should I say, create energy in the cell, you're actually making a more efficient cell, a more efficient organ, a more efficient organism or person. And so carnitine assists kind of like a trolley, and as a matter of fact, they call it the shuttling vitamin. It brings fats into the cells, it escorts them into the cell, into the mitochondria, passes the membrane, the mitochondrial membrane. It opens that oven door, so to speak. It remains there so the fats can be burned optimally, and then as the fats are burned, they create free radicals. I mean, you take vitamins to eliminate these free radicals from your body. Carnitine pulls those free radicals out before they're able to do any damage. So actually it's acting not only as a vitamin, but it's acting as an antioxidant. So it helps, it shuttles the nutrient in, which in this case is fat, allows it to be burned for optimal energy, and then right before the end products of that metabolism can be realized negatively by the cell, it pulls them out. It's absolutely wonderful. This is why carnitine is involved in so many different conditions. I mean, you look in the scientific literature, and now there's 11,000 papers plus on carnitine. And the reason is that most of the conditions, most of the problems that we have have some type of metabolic component to them. I mean, if you think in terms of conditions like, and here again, we're not saying that these are cures, but you look at artery disease, so you look at heart disease, you look at Alzheimer's disease and everything. They have a component, they have a dietary component, they have a stress component, they have a lifestyle component. These are the new epidemic conditions of the 21st century. They're the new epidemic diseases. 100 years ago, we were worrying about smallpox, we were worrying about polio, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're worrying about conditions like diabetes, heart disease, artery disease, stroke. And these have a very strong lifestyle component to them, sometimes linked to a condition known as Syndrome X, which is improper lifestyle, too much hurrying around, eating the wrong foods, eating fast foods too much. And so from a dietary standpoint, there are ways that we can help to ameliorate these lifestyle changes. And by taking vitamins such as carnitine, it's definitely a help, because in a diet that's saturated with too much fat, carnitine is definitely a very important assist in helping to burn that fat.
Thank you, Ken.